Poverty among the elderly is increasing. And this is something that should make all of us get scared because we are all working so hard to live a very comfortable and secure life in our elderly years. In most cases, elderly years start from 60 or 50 years and above. So many countries so far, when you hit 50 years, there are so limited job opportunities for you. I've seen a friend of mine in Mexico struggling to find work at 50, which means that if even in Mexico you cannot find work, what about in less developed countries than Mexico? It means it is very, very worse. So we need to use our early years around the 20s, 30s, 40s to create wealth that will help us when we become elderly. And this is why I've set out this particular retirement podcast series to educate people on how to have a secure elderly years. Ladies and gentlemen, I've discovered that elderly years are the longest years on earth, from 50 years or let's say 60 years to something like 80 or 90. Those are the most hectic years and they are very, very long. First of all, you are less ambitious, you have less opportunities, you have less energy, you are more are attracted to get diseases, you are more attracted to get attacks, you are more fragile. You can no longer have those big dreams. But how have you made your elderly years amazing and away from poverty? When you look at the poverty rate among seniors aged 65 and older, in 2008 it was 9.7, but it has increased to 14% by 2010 and also 15% by 2015 in the United States. So 15% of the elderly in the United States by 2015, it was very, very worse, and so many people were living under the poverty rate. That was 2015. Imagine how it is right now in 2025. The condition must be very, very worse. When you look at the global rate, the World Bank estimates that nearly 1 in 5 people, that is 19%, aged 65 and older, live in extreme poverty, which is defined as living at less than $1.9 per single day. So 19% of people aged 65 are living under poverty rate, which is very, very strange and should make us scared. And in a European Union, around 14 million older people aged 65 and over were at risk of poverty and social exclusion in 2020, according to Eurostat. 14 million elderly people. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with 51% of black families and 45% of Hispanic families, um, they have some account of retirement account compared to 70% of Asian families and 65 and 68% of white families. It is showing you that as years are going on, the level of poverty among elderly has increased. But we are living in a digital age. We are living in a digital era. And trust me, things to do with finance have completely changed. Things to do with finance has completely changed. And the things that we thought are stores of value previously have also shifted. You will look at even people are no longer trusting in gold or diamond or silver, but right now they are more into AI and also cryptocurrency, and to be specific, Bitcoin. So, how are you planning your retirement plan? How is your retirement portfolio? Are you still investing in land? Are you still investing in real estate? Are you still investing in bonds? Are you still buying local stock markets? What are you investing in preparation for your retirement? Previously, I talked about various cryptocurrencies that are a store of value, where we looked at Bitcoin, we looked at Monero, we looked at Litecoin. But today, I thought about giving you another set of cryptocurrencies that are also amazing and can help you in your retirement. My name is Daniel Leinhardt. Previously, I presented two documentaries on the BBC World Services. One is called the BBC Big Dollar Giveaway, and another one is called The Dead Are Not Dead BBC. So do check them out and enjoy listening. This episode is sponsored by Brandy Digital. If you are looking to start up a website for your company, for your business, for your friends, for your school, for your hospital, it can be blockchain, it can be technology, it can be AI, it can be a local business website, trust Brandy Digital. They have over 25 years of experience and they are located in the UK. They will do amazing work for you, right? Building up from the idea into real website development and also marketing. So you don't have to handle anything. They will build the idea, they will build the website, they will also do the marketing of your website to millions and millions of clients. Do visit www.brandydigital.com, or you can actually email Dave at Brandy Digital. Email Dave at brandydigital.com and let him know your interest in having them to make a website for you. Do mention that you had them from Daniel Leinhardt, and trust me, they will give you a discount. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum at around 2015, it was priced at zero point 0.3 US dollars. And in 2017, it actually grew up to 8.2 US dollars. And then in 2020, it grew up to 130 US dollars. And then in 2022, it grew up to 2,900 US dollars. And then right now in 2025, each Ethereum is priced at around 2,500 US dollars. I've noticed some stunted growth of Ethereum around these more recent years, especially from 2022, 2021, and right now 2025. There has been slow growth in Ethereum price, but it has been stable, and time can reach when it actually explodes. Ethereum over the years has been having a relatively amazing growth. This is the largest and the most widely used utility token that enables the creation of smart contracts and decentralized application. That is Ethereum for you. So if you are not looking at stores of value, you still have these utility tokens, and Ethereum is highly trusted, and it is an amazing cryptocurrency that you can definitely trust with your retirement portfolio. There is BNB. BNB is the native cryptocurrency for the Binance exchange, and it is used for trading fees, listing fees, and other utilities. In 2017, each BNB was around zero point 0.1 US dollars, and then in 2020 it grew up to 15, 0.2 US dollars. You can see how amazing BNB grew. And then in 2022, it grew up to 290 US dollars. Guess what? Right now in 2025, each BNB is around 614 US dollars. 614 US dollars, a crypto that was at 0.1 dollars in 2017. You can see how amazing BNB grew and how trusted it can be. Binance right now is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange, and as long as it stays right there, BNB is going to be an amazing utility token. But then, even if Binance does not keep its position on being the biggest cryptocurrency exchange, but it can stay for the next 20 or 10 years, BNB is still going to grow. And if you invest in at 614 US dollars, and then the price grows to $800 or 1,000 US dollars, you can still exchange your BNB to a stable cryptocurrency like USDT, or even you can choose to put them in Bitcoin. So it doesn't really matter, but you can always enjoy the benefits as long as you get in early. There's another cryptocurrency called Chainlink. Most people refer to it as Link. This is a decentralized Oracle network that provides real world data to smart contracts. In 2017, it was priced at around 0.19 US dollars, and then in 2020, it grew up to 1.8 US dollars, and then in 2022, it grew up to 15 US dollars, and then right now in 2025, it is traded at around 20 US dollars. Chainlink, a decentralized Oracle network that provides real world data to smart contracts, has also been relatively and positively growing. So you have quite many utility tokens that you can choose from, but these that I'm trying to read for you are the most trusted ones and which have been living on for kind some good period of time. There's also another cryptocurrency that is called um, Polkadot. Polkadot is a decentralized platform that enables interoperability between different blockchain networks. Now, Polkadot in 2020, it was being traded at around 2.7 US dollars, and then in 2020, just 2 years after, it grew up to 20 US dollars. And guess what? Right now in 2025, it has went down to 4 US dollars. Polkadot is an amazing technology, but then dips and pumps always happen in crypto. Let me know what you think. Do you think Polkadot stands a big chance still, and you can still choose to invest in it when it is at its dip, or this is the end of Polkadot? From 20 US dollars in 2024 to $4 in 2025. Let me know what you think about this huge dump of Polkadot. Do you think it is still a trusted utility cryptocurrency, or you think this is the end of it? Now, there's also another cryptocurrency that you guys should look at. It is called Huobi token. Huobi token is the native cryptocurrency for the Huobi exchange that is used for trading fees, voting, and other utilities. Now, in 2018, it was being traded at around 1.5 US dollars, and then in 2020, it grew up to 2.5 US dollars, and then in 2022, it also grew up to $5, and then in 2025, it was highly dumped to 0.05 US dollars. Let me know what you think about Huobi token and what you think about including it on your retirement portfolio. Do you think it still holds some waters? Do you think it is still a worth cryptocurrency, or actually it is worthless? Because being dumped from 5 US dollars to 0.05 US dollars, it is really a huge dump. Do you think this is the dump and we should be buying the dump and wait for the pump? what do you think about Huobi token? What are your thoughts about this utility token for Huobi cryptocurrency exchange? Now, I'm going to return back to these cryptos that have really lost their prices and discuss about them before the end of this episode. Let's also look at Solana. Solana is a fast and scalable blockchain platform that supports the creation of decentralized applications. In 2020, it was at zero point 0.2 US dollars, and in 2022, it shot up to 10 US dollars, and in 2025, it is being traded at 139 US dollars. Solana is highly trusted. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something about Solana that is really amazing. It has a strong team, it has a strong community, and I think Solana will really do amazing in the next few years. There's also Cardano. Cardano is a decentralized public blockchain and cryptocurrency project that focuses on providing a more secure and scalable platform. 2017, it was being traded at around zero point zero 0.02 US dollars, and then in 2020, it was being traded at zero point zero 0.03 US dollars, and then in 2022, it was being traded at zero point 0.1 US dollars, and then in 2025, it is being traded at zero point 0.6 US dollars. Cardano has had a relatively slow but steady price growth. Slow but relatively steady. Because when you look at it throughout the years from 2017 up to 2025, it has been slowly, but trust me, the growth has been positive. So, are you looking out at trusting Cardano? Because at zero point 0.6, it is really still very affordable. Trust me, you can still have 5,000 of Cardanos. You can even get 10,000 Cardanos. So Cardano is still really relatively low. And if you make several severe research on it, you can see if it is still an amazing cryptocurrency that you should be. There is a guy called Arman The Parman that teaches people about blockchain and also Bitcoin security. He says, if you want to invest hugely in Bitcoin, you need to learn about Bitcoin security and how you can safely store it in your decentralized Bitcoin wallet. So he offers Bitcoin lessons, Bitcoin security lessons, where he teaches you on how to be safe from scammers, fraud, and also hackers to hack your Bitcoin. So he basically handles people who want to invest heavily in Bitcoin from 10,000 US dollars to 100,000 US dollars or even a million US dollar. So do not just get far into Bitcoin investments without you understanding on how secure you can make your wallet. Another cryptocurrency is called Stellar, and so many people call it XLM. XLM is an open decentralized blockchain network that facilitates cross-border payments and also asset transfer. In 2017, it was around zero point zero 0.01 US dollars, and then in 2020, it grew up to zero point zero 0.04 US dollars. 2022, it was at zero point 0.1 US dollars, and then 2025, it is being priced at zero point 0.3 US dollars. Stellar, I've actually seen Stellar at its initial stages but then I was so broke. Stellar, I've seen it grow. I've seen it start up, struggle, try to establish itself. It is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies that has been there, but then with a relatively slow but sure growth. I'm repeating this, relatively slow but sure growth. So Stellar is also an amazing cryptocurrency asset, a utility token that you guys can look up to and decide if you think it is really worth your investment. There's VeChain. VeChain is an amazing cryptocurrency, but I think its growth has also been, hectic. But when you look at its roadmap, its technology, and what they stand for, VeChain really looks a promising crypto utility token. It has ever been at the lowest of 0.001 US dollars and then at the highest of 0.2 US dollars. But apparently, it is being traded at 0.027 US dollars. It has a total market cap of 2.2 billion US dollars, meaning that a lot of people have trusted it with their money. And trust me, it has a strong community. But its future is really a little bit hectic. I don't know why, but I find VeChain's future a little bit, I can't really define its future because of how its price has been happening. It has been there for a little while now, but it has refused to take off. And I think investing in VeChain should be an individual decision on, looking at it and study it, and you'd be like, you know what? Let me take a risk and see what VeChain provides in the next 10 years or in the next 20 years. Because remember, when we are doing retirement portfolio plans, we are not looking at the next 5 years. We are looking at 10, 15, 20 years from now. My last cryptocurrency before I finish this entire episode is called Cosmos. Cosmos is a decentralized network of independent parallel blockchains, each powered by the Cosmos SDK framework. In 2019, it was priced at around 3.5 US dollars, and then in 2020 it grew up to 8.5 US dollars, and then in 2022 it actually shoot high to 10 US dollars. Right now in 2025 it has dropped a little bit to 4.2 US dollars. Cosmos is also an old cryptocurrency, and I think its growth has really been relatively amazing. However much by the making of this podcast, it is in the dump from 10 in 2022 to 4 US dollars in 2025. So these are basically the utility tokens that you guys can trust for your retirement portfolios. Of course, personally, I'm looking at Stellar, I'm looking at Cardano, I'm looking at Solana. I also think that Chainlink is amazing. Chainlink is amazing so far. Yes, Chainlink is amazing. Also, BNB is good. And I'm still hectic about Huobi token. I'm also hectic about Polkadot. I'm also hectic about Cosmos and also VeChain. But it is entirely about an individual's perspective and your experience with crypto, what you love, which kind of community you feel more friendly with, which technology do you think you understand better? What does your heart tell you about that particular cryptocurrency? It all matters, and you need to be very, very careful when selecting these cryptocurrencies. Ladies and gentlemen, since investment plans have changed over years, I highly think that it is high time we look at these technologies, and the earlier the better. The earlier the better. The earlier you start to invest in these utility, store value, AI, cryptocurrencies, the better, because this is where the future is heading. This is where the future is heading, and it doesn't need a lot of hard work and you keeping tracking of them and all that. Simply develop an investing spirit, being patient, invest a patience skill of you being able to wait for years as things appreciate in value. My name is Daniel Reinhardt, and you have been listening to Daniel Reinhardt podcast. Thank you for tuning in every single day right here on my amazing website at cryptoinvestor.com. I do appreciate every single person that listens to these podcasts. I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. Let me see you soon in my next episodes.